It is fascinating to me that Nevada's governor, Steve Sisolak, has declared a state financial emergency and hasn't laid off a single state employee yet. It fascinates me that he shut down the state and cost the state 20 to 25% of expected revenues, which are largely generated from tourism and gambling. And he's asking organizations that are essential to trim their budgets. It fascinates me that Governor Sisolak considers gaming to be non-essential in Nevada. Does he have any idea what this state does? Now, those are other questions. This video is the case for why I'm essential. It is said that integrity is what you do when you think no one is watching. So this is why I'm essential, and why I should be retained is because of integrity. We were notified on Friday, March 13th to prepare things in academia so that after spring break, the first week of April, to transition everything to online in the wake of the Kung flu outbreak of 2020. On the 16th of March, we were told to have ideas ready in a week. On the 18th, they said, we're shutting you down and going online immediately. I was a little apoplectic at the time because I wasn't sure whether or not I would be considered essential. Because of my job classification and my role in the department as a member of higher education, I was considered essential and was retained as a paid employee. In addition to the fact that I don't like sitting at the house doing nothing, and I have a conscience that doesn't allow me to accept money for work I haven't performed, and in concert with the need and the advisability of having someone present periodically to check the integrity of the chemical stores and the safety of the materials that we have, I spoke with the department chair about going in each week to make sure everything was fine. And so I was permitted every week to spend an entire day on campus, despite the fact that we're shut down. The administration, the really upper muckety mucks, to their credit, didn't give me any crap. It's the people between them and me who have given me a little bit of grief about being there, because they like to have it shut down and neatly shuttered and say, well, we know it's safe because no one's been here. And they didn't really like initially that I was there. That's sort of gone away once they realized that I don't wander around the building and touch everything. Although I do go to my area. But I told them, if I'm the only one going in there and I'm not symptomatic, then you don't need to worry about it. Just don't clean it until we're done. And so they've sort of mellowed out. So what did I do? I went in, I checked those things, and then I set up, did the lab, and cleaned up after myself, and recorded videos of labs that were posted on the internet so that students who were learning from home could have the closest thing to an actual laboratory experience that we could actually provide. And these are not the generic lab exercises, these were ours, with the materials that we had, the facilities that we had, the instructions that we had, and the reports that we required. So I went in, did them for them, set them up, cleaned up after them, and then I would spend the next day of work cutting the video, editing the video, and uploading it. And the instructor, who was the lead faculty for chemistry that I was supporting, was able to code the internet so that it was required for students to view the videos in order to progress through the different portions of lab and complete the lab and earn their points. This is important because with us moving forward, we're now doing this for all of the labs. There'll be multiple videos, and we're going to be able to force students to go to lab with me or with Dr. Hudson so that they can get the closest thing possible to actually being there. And they have to watch it. Now, granted, it's not the whole kit and caboodle. There's no pre-lab discussion. I'm leaving that for the instructors to put into their web shells. I don't do the math for them, so they're not there for the whole 3 hours. I don't make them watch me clean up. And so the actual longest lab exercise video they have to watch is 43 minutes. And that includes all the time. It has time lapses where in that particular one, nothing happened for the first 10 minutes. And so I cut it out. And so they see me setting it up, and then I cut the timeout, and then we're okay at 10:22. The first thing changes, so they didn't have to sit there and watch it. They were able to watch just the parts that were essential with me giving them the times. And I have all the raw footage if they really want to watch the whole darn thing. But we didn't make them do that. We only made them watch the portions that were essential. So I told Dr. Hudson when we were discussing this last week, she felt bad that this was put upon me. And I said, I volunteered for this for two reasons. Number one, it gave me something to do. Got me out of the house, got me on campus, got me back in the lab. I went into science to do science, not to do paperwork, not to talk about science. I went into science to actually do science. So I was able to go in, do a scientific experiment, make a video, provide the data, and do something that was tangible and relevant to the courses that I was instructing or that I was supporting. Instead of some sort of simulation, these were actually me doing it and either getting results I expected or results that were a surprise, because that happens in science too. So it was good for that as well, that's not what was supposed to happen. But if this had worked, blah, 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 and then I would explain what was supposed to have happened and why. Because, chemistry is taught in front of a live studio audience. So for 2 days a week, I felt like at least I was earning my paycheck. Because I would get up, I would drive to campus, I would check all the things I was supposed to check, set up a lab, do the lab, capture the footage, clean up the lab, and leave. And then the next day, I would watch the video, and I would cut things, and I would add titles, and get it all ready, and upload it to the shell, notify her where it would get uploaded. And so for 2 of the 5 days I was getting paid, I knew that I was earning my paycheck. Can many of the people who were working from home claim they did a single rassafrassin thing to earn their money? Most of them probably sat there, and I know that because I've been in the biology department sections of lab a few times to transfer in materials that were shipped in and received and make sure they were properly stored in the temperature controls that were required for their conditions. And those places do not look like they've been disturbed other than by me since the 18th of March. So for 9.5 weeks, they have not been there. They have not done anything. There's no evidence that they've done any work. That doesn't mean they haven't. But I've done other things, paperwork on the internet, orders, meetings, conversations, sending emails. I've had my financial government purchasing card audit that I've been working on, clearing that up. So this Friday I'll be sending the final things in for that to get that off my plate. But it made me feel like I was earning the money I was getting. So it was no big deal. That's why I told Dr. Hudson this was fine. It made me feel like I was earning my pay. And I'm going to keep doing it through the summer because there won't be students on campus, and we'll be doing multiple videos. I can do it multiple days per week because I'll be there all week. We can make sure they actually work so we don't have the surprises, so we get the results that we want, because I'm not in a rush to finish it in a day so I can get off of campus before 5 so that the security people don't have a conniption fit that I'm still there. That's what makes me essential. I didn't have to do this. Nobody made me do it. I wasn't ordered to do it. I wasn't required to do it. I talked with the chair at one point. I said, what am I required to do? And I talked with my student worker yesterday or Monday or Tuesday of this week. And he said some of his professors just posted notes online and bailed. They were almost incommunicado. They were slow to respond to anything. They weren't present. There were no discussions, almost no feedback. And the department chair the week before had sent out an email and said, for those of you who put your courses on autopilot, shame on you. And exactly. And there's only so much I can do from here. I mean, obviously, I can't do chemistry from here. I remember they asked me, can you do your job from home? And I said, yeah, for $500,000, because you're going to have to upgrade my electrical panel. You're going to have to pay the extra electricity bill. I'm going to need storage facilities, a hazmat permit, et cetera, because I'd have to have all the chemicals here and all the safety materials necessary. So it gave me a reason to be there, a reason to be productive, and a way to contribute to the educational forum and provide value for the money I was getting. Most people can't say that. So the proposals are coming out now about whose pay to be cut, who they want to fire, et cetera. How many people worked 2 days a week from home? Like, honestly, 2 full days a week from home, at least. Because I can document that. It is well known that because I had to call when I got there so that someone would come and unlock the door, that I would arrive around 9 o'clock and I would leave after 5:30. I didn't leave. I was around. I was inside a building, because once I leave, I've had to call someone to get back in. So there's proof. There's electronic key access to the doors I went through. You can prove that I was there, and then the videos on my channel, because that's where they are right now when they shouldn't be, are also tangible evidence of, look, he did work. This is what he did while he was there. You can tell because he's in the video, he says stuff. You can tell he's on campus because I don't have a science lab in my house, because that would be illegal. And I wanted to comply with OSHA. I wanted to set a good example, because it's not just about safety, it's about setting a good example for our youth that when challenges arise, you find a way. If it really matters. If it doesn't matter, you find an excuse, but if it really matters, you find a way. And I found a way to improve upon my time and give them something. I can't get them in the building, but I can get them engaged in what I was doing while I was in the building, because I can get in the building and then impart at least something. It's not the same, but it's better than simply doing a computer-based training, watching a random video. I did the steps that were in their labs for our school, for our course, gave them the data that they needed for our things using our materials in the same place they would have been if they were there. It's the best I can do. And because they paid the money, they deserve the closest that we can possibly come to the genuine, authentic experience for which they paid. Because they're not offering them refunds for their money. I mean, they are, but it's like this super convoluted and complicated process, I think designed intentionally to discourage them from applying for refunds, because it's so immensely complicated that very few of them will actually qualify and receive them. So when the governor comes out with his proposals to furlough, to pay cut, or to terminate people, I wanted this on the internet. Not to toot my own horn. This is to protect me, to say, Steve, I'm a man of integrity. I went to work, literally, and I worked from this chair in this house. I did what I could to do my job from here, so that those who paid me, those who pay their taxes, those who paid their tuition, could get the very best I could possibly give them under the circumstances that you dictated we had to meet. I did it safely. I did it expertly. And the student workers I have who have heard about me doing this have expressed their gratitude that I went above and beyond. Nobody asked me to do this. And all I'm asking for is for you to leave my paycheck alone. That's all I ask. I don't need any special awards. I don't need a raise. I was already paid to do this. In fact, there were some emails that went around back and forth because we have 3 major sister institutions in Nevada's higher ed that are part of the government higher educational system. And a vice president from one of the other ones had contacted someone at our school, and then I had been CC'd into the conversation because they knew I'd made these videos, and there was some question about, can we use them? Because they're his. And I told my boss, the dean, I said, they're not mine. They belong to the school. They were done on campus, on the clock. It's my job. They belong to the school. They belong to the state. They're our intellectual property, and the only things that need to be negotiated are getting them off of my YouTube channel, because they're not my videos. I didn't know where else to put them under the circumstances. I have a channel, so I put them there. And they're not listed, so you can only see them if you have the link, because you didn't pay for the class. And number 2, that school needs to compensate our school because our school generated it out of our school's budget, and they didn't. So they need to compensate the school, not me. Not the state, not my boss, because we spent money on the materials and the manpower and the utilities, and they need to accommodate that some way if they're going to use them. And if they don't, then they don't owe us anything. But the state doesn't owe me anything. All I'm saying is I earned my paycheck. I went to work a whole day every week. And then I spent at least an entire day every week sitting in this chair, answering emails, grading papers, online stuff. It was all papers I'd have to read through, make comments, and then quizzes I'd have to make sure they were graded correctly, make sure the grade book was fine. So at least 2 days a week, I was earning my paycheck. Then we have meetings, phone calls, and the rest of the gobbledygook that is more difficult to qualify. But all I'm asking is the governor leave my paycheck alone. No furlough, no pay cut, no termination. Because of all the people in the state who have been paid during this crisis, I can document that I've earned my paycheck. Can they? And if you're going to start cutting people, then you should cut from the people who can't prove they were doing anything value added, even if they were declared essential. I was essential, I was present, and I should win. And I should be able to keep what I have earned. I did what I could under the circumstances that you created. In the words of a former president of the United States, I didn't build that. You built that. You own that. And you take a pay cut first and show us how it's done. Attitude reflects leadership. I'm not a big fan of Steve Sisolak. He's not as bad as I thought he would be. But he's painting with some broad brushes that I don't like, and seems somehow acutely unaware of how things actually work in the real world, even the real world of state employment. Anyway, this diatribe's gone on long enough. That's all I have to say. If you're going to college, I feel sorry for you. This has not been the best thing. But I did what I could to make sure it was as good as possible and as value added as possible with the powers under my control. And we'll do more of that because you should get the very best we can provide you for the money that you pay. Whether it's instructors in the classroom, materials on the internet, or leaders in government. We should give you the very best we can get for the money that we offer. Up and down the line. That's how it ought to work. Anyway, if you're out there, whatever you're doing, Godspeed, good luck. If you lost your job, I'm really sorry. I'm glad I kept mine. I wanted to make sure that I earned it. And that's what this is all about. I have a great deal. My integrity is worth a lot to me. And I'm hoping that it will be rewarded. Not with anything extra, but with what I have earned and what I deserve and what I've already received. Don't tread on me.